what's up guys? Welcome back to March Minifigure Madness. Today is once again Force Fridays, and we'll be continuing part 1 that I did last week of Clone Wars era Jedi. So last week I talked about some of the sort of stranger characters, or sort of lesser known, and so we'll continue with some of like the last 2 of those that I didn't talk about last week. So up first we have Egan Kolar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. As you can see, he has this nice headpiece with all these like horns that he has. And he even has braids on like his hairpiece, which I think is really nice. Now his face is actually alright. It works when the hairpiece is on, and I don't mind it at all because it looks like him. I like the front print here, honestly. You can see the different layers of his robes as it goes across, and he's got like a grayish sort of shirt underneath. You can see his belt, and his belt's still on the back. The back piece doesn't have a lot going on, but with the hairpiece on, honestly, it doesn't need to. I think it works fine. And as you can see, he has the clone armor for arm pieces, as per usual for a lot of these. And then he doesn't have any leg printing on the piece, but that's fine. I don't really think he needed it. I like this minifigure. Alright, now up next we have the last of the sort of weirder ones that you might not recognize or might not know. Ikar Oki, I think is how you pronounce it. Now he's a Mon Calamari, so he's like kind of like Admiral Akbar. And he came in one of the Grievous Starfighter sets from the Clone Wars era. He has a really interesting chest print. He has like this like white part that comes down. I think that's part of like a cloth or something from the show. And the back piece is pretty much the same as the front. It's not the most interesting chest piece, but it is cool to have this like darker arms with like the lighter coloring. Not a lot of Jedi have the dark colored, like the darker tan chest piece. Obviously the one we just talked about did over there. He has it, but this one has a light printing, but he has the dark arms and legs still. And this head piece is really nice. It's not a rubber piece. It's a pretty solid piece, and I think it worked really well. It looks like the characters. There aren't any like little tentacles that they have for the mouth. I don't remember if he specifically had them, but I know most of the characters do. And he has these like darker brown hands, so I like this minifigure. He's not the most interesting as far as the body goes, but he's interesting because there aren't a lot of other Jedi like this, and there definitely aren't many other Lego Jedi like this. Now up next, Kiadi Mundi. Now I didn't know how to pronounce this guy's name for the absolute longest time. And I didn't have any of these minifigures until recently, so this is a pretty recent minifigure. As you can see, he's got this custom headpiece, which goes in front. Otherwise, just kind of looks like an old man. This chest piece, I like the way it continues all the way through the waist piece, all the way down to the legs. I think it's a nice touch. Pretty detailed all the way, and I mean, it looks like the character, and that's how he dresses. And the back piece is pretty standard, and you can see he's got like a hood. I think like a folded up hood in back, which is interesting. Not a lot of these characters have like the hoods or like the cloaks built in. Some versions of ObiWan Kenobi sort of have like their darker cloaks built in. But I like this headpiece. I like the way you can see the braids. It's very well detailed. He's even got these like the lines that are on the back continue all the way up through his head, like his head wrinkles. So now we're definitely getting on to like the most recognizable Jedi from this period. And we're gonna start this next little section off with Master Yoda, of course. Now I have 2 of this like same exact print. Unfortunately, both of them, the rubber head pieces haven't held up quite as well with time. The minifigures in general haven't held up very well. As you can see, the hair in the back always is scratched off. You can see the green showing through it. And on this one in particular, his eyes are also scratched. My other one, the eyes aren't very scratched, but he's on a different display right now, and I don't want to mess up with the display yet. So, but as you can see, he's got his very light colored robes. He's got the red waist and like an orange coat. You can see a little bit of his chest. And obviously, since he's a shorter character, he has the short legs. This was before like the Harry Potter ones, where the short legs you could like move them individually. This is well before that, so unfortunately these don't move, and as you can see, this minifigure was not stored in the best conditions. He's got cracking up the arms and down the backs and some of those things, so this kind of Yoda, this is the only Yoda I've ever owned. I've only ever owned this variant of Yoda. I've never had any like the newer, even the older ones, like the ones that are from the game. I've never had that. I've only had the Clone Wars era one. I like the way his ears are the rubber piece. Like I said, the rubber just doesn't hold up very well with the printing on it. Not like pretty much every single rubber piece that I have has experienced some sort of wear, like I said. But the shape is nice on this one. But I like the top of the head, how you can see the wrinkles that he has. Now, up next, we have Mace Windu. And this is the only version of Mace Windu that I owned, was the Clone Wars one. As you can see, this is also one of the ones where the face, like the eyes and the mouth are a lot bigger, which Some people say it makes him look kind of creepy. I don't think this one's that bad. He is one of the only Jedi that I have where he has these darker robes all the way around. A little disappointing that there's no back printing, and also his character I don't think came with a cape in this set, so that is a little disappointing. It's good to have this minifigure. I don't think he's like my favorite version. I wish I had the version where he has like the clone armor on the leg printing and on the arms. The minifigure is okay. It's a little disappointing that I don't have a newer or better version of it. But it still makes windows, so I still like it. And now we're moving on to the next 3 Jedi, which you obviously will recognize. And we're going to start off with Anakin Skywalker himself. Now, I have several different versions of Anakin Skywalker. This I just chose like the most detailed one that I think I own, besides one of the newer versions. This is just like the newest of the Clone Wars ones that I have, where he has this leg printing here where it continues his cape down, or like his chest piece down. And I prefer that as opposed to just the plain brown legs. And he's got the one black arm for his robotic hand and the one regular. And the chest piece is very nice. I like the belt is very accurate to how it is in the show. And the chest piece, of course. One disappointing thing about this is that the back is just plain black. I wish they continued like this chest piece up all the way to the back. I think that would have been a nice detail to put in. But they didn't do it. And the hair is kind of accurate to the show. I've never really been the biggest fan of the headpieces that they give Anakin, especially when it's supposed to be around like episode 3. This piece for the Clone Wars one, it's okay. It fits for what the show was, but when it comes to like any other episode 3, I think they should use different hair pieces that are more accurate. But it's not the biggest of deals. I don't really have a better hair piece to put on, so it's not the end of the world. And as you can see, this is a very detailed one. This is one of the ones people think are creepy for the big eyes and mouth. And yeah, it's a bit creepy, but it's not, I don't know. Maybe it might just be because I grew up with some of these, so I don't recognize them being creepy. As you can see, he still has the scar that goes across his face, so it is a still very well detailed minifigure head. And his eyes are like the bright, vibrant blue, which I like. So this minifigure is pretty good. Of the Clone Wars Anakins, this one's definitely the best. I could talk about all of them, but they're all pretty much the same. The only difference, like I said, is like the leg piece is just plain brown. And up next, we have Anakin's master, Clone Wars ObiWan Kenobi. As you can see, he has a lot more of the clone armor than a lot of other ones do. He has the clone armor arms and both legs. And you can see his chest piece, which is up there. He also doesn't have any back print. As you can see, mine has been cracking. The hair piece is accurate to the show, so I don't mind it. It's a very interesting piece. It's very odd shaped, but it's accurate to the show. One thing that's a little bit disappointing is the face on this, and I'll explain why. The beard doesn't continue all the way up to the hair piece, which is my biggest piece. I don't know if that's something that should be against the hair or against the face. Either way, I wish it just connected it more. It looks kind of goofy with the gap because his beard and hair do all connect into one, especially in this show. But the hair color is nice, and the printing on the chest I still like a lot. So it's definitely not my favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's up there. I like the clone print on it, and I think it's a nice change of pace for him. And last for today's video, this is the last Jedi I'll be talking about today. We have Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka has been one of my personal favorite Jedi, both from the Clone Wars and onwards for like Star Wars Rebels. Now, for the actual one that I got, she only comes with the one lightsaber, but I like when she has the two for the later Clone Wars series, so I normally give her the two. The way her headpiece is, I don't think the eyes make it look too bad with them being the enlarged in shape, and she has a nice detailed, very accurate and detailed white tattoos that are on her face. And this headpiece surprisingly has held up for me. Different to the Shock T one, this one is actually a full plastic piece. It's not rubber at all, so maybe that's a part of why it kept up being clean. And as you can see, she has the slimmer body shape, and she has her belt and her chest piece. But there's no printing on the back. A little disappointing because they had that even for like Ayla Secura, which as you can see, she has a very similar sort of like clothing to it, and even she had one on the back. I don't know if that's because I think these were from the same set. They might not have been. So that it's a little disappointing that it's just orange in the back. But it's not that big of a deal. And I like the headpiece, how they have both the blue and the green that goes across it, and the way her face is designed. I think this is a very well done minifigure. I like this minifigure a lot personally. Alright, so that is all for today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Farted on the track. Farted. Oh yeah. Yeah! We love that Dumpster Kid video. We all do! For more, like and subscribe. Hit it! Turn on the post notifications. Do it! Even when you're on vacation, you'll get notified.